Peace, family. We are now live. It's good to be live again with y'all. I took yesterday off. I was about to do a show. Matter of fact, I was going to try to do the show with Dr. B today. I was going to try to do that yesterday, but yeah, well, we decided to push it to today, and yeah, we ready now, man. What's going on, family? How y'all doing in the chat room? We're gonna have another great show for y'all tonight. This is part three. The brother's been on 3 weeks in a row. This will be the third week, and he's come with a different level of information every show. It's gonna be amazing, family. Make sure get comfortable, hit the like button. That's important. Tell your friends and family we are now live. Have your pen and pad ready, and let's enjoy tonight. We're learning about ourselves. We're learning about who we really are. Things we haven't been taught in school. So it's a glorious days that we are in, family. All right. Let me get to a few ads, and Brother Rich and Dr. B will be right back.
Hey there! Had a bad dream? I have dreams too. Some parts are scary and some parts are fun. Always remind yourself, it's only a dream and everything will be okay. I had a dream about being in a forest too. Check it out, my pet Petey was with me. Order your copy of Kayla Petey and the Forest on Amazon today.
Hey, this is King Simon, the International Numerator. Remember, get all my books on Amazon or go to Linktree/King Simon, the Numerator. And remember, don't forget to book my sessions at 347-496-1022. Book now.
All right, so we're live. Let me see what's going on in the chat room before we get started. Make sure y'all are right. Y'all are right in the chat. What's going on with y'all? Shout out to everybody in the chat room. All right, I see all of y'all. Okay, y'all in there heavy. You're in there deep. I see y'all. All right, so Dr. B, welcome back to the show. Like I said, my brother, once again, welcome back, brother.
Glad to be back. It's an honor to be here, and it's a phenomenal time. It's a wonderful opportunity for us all to hit that next level if that's what we desire. It's up to us now, brother.
Indeed. The show tonight is, you touched on it, briefly in a previous show, and I knew it would be an interesting show. So I told you when you touched on it, that should be our next show. As far as what I understand about mycelium and what I understand about mushrooms is that there's literally they say there's like an internet underground where all the trees could communicate with each other. So what happens to one tree over here, the other tree all the way somewhere far, far away knows what's going on due to the mycelium network. I also know a lot of people talk about shrooms and their ability to take us places. I know a lot of artists I work with, Cam Bada, he's big on the shrooms, and he always has, a lot of good stories about the shrooms. He says that plants actually talk to him. He sees the plants talking when he's on the shrooms or whatever. So I can't wait. And I've heard, so many speakers said the God is a mushroom. Santa Claus is a mushroom. They're talking about mushrooms when they talking about Santa Claus. I've heard so many spiritual stories, biblical stories, all these stories about mushrooms and things like that. So it's going to be a real good conversation, brother. I'm gonna let you go in, do your thing, and toward the end I'll come in with some Q&A, brother. But the floor is yours, brother. Go ahead. And also, let me just say this last thing. I was reading up earlier, and a couple of sites were saying dark matter is the mycelium network for the cosmos. That's when they say mycelium network for the cosmos is actually dark matter that's, doing all of this stuff. So the floor is yours, brother. Can't wait tonight. It's going to be powerful. Go ahead, brother. Go in.
Now, I'd like to begin by saying that I'm going to attempt to take this slow and even. This subject is so vast and diverse, deep and shallow,
indeed,
that it can almost blow the mind. Our mind is based on what we can perceive. So let's say you took 100-foot measuring tape, measure 100 feet, And then you take your fingers and go like this.
Mm-hmm.
Remember 100 feet measuring tape, and you took 1 inch of that measuring tape. That is how big, or the only amount of information that we can perceive out of the entire spectrum of energy. There are so many types of energy, sounds, colors, even things that we can't perceive at all. We don't even know it's there. We're basically like little insects. We're less than ants when it comes to knowledge. In fact, there is a profession, a scientific practice called epistemology, which is the study of the limits of human knowledge. And they realize we know very little. Even all the stuff we know, we think we know, we want to talk about and drop science and drop knowledge, it is really just a speck of dust falling from your ceiling to your floor in your entire home. So the knowledge that the scientists studied in the past, that they feel like that was it, is based on theories. It's based on theorems. It's based on ideas. It's based on somebody's perception of things. It's not necessarily the way it is. We talk about how big the Earth is and how big Saturn is and how big things are versus us. And we even measure things, and we measure time and everything based on our perception. That's the big ego of man. I didn't say woman, I said man. The study of mycology is so big and growing every day that it blows the minds. It confounds the scientists. Every single day they find out something new. They discover another type of quote unquote mushrooms. Now, what we know of as mushrooms are the little white things that we see in the lawn or whatever, or, you know, the mushrooms we buy in the store to eat. Those are the flowers or the fruit, or in some respects, the reproductive organs of the mushroom body. Under the ground, let's say you have 2 mushrooms in your land. Let's say you had an acre of land and you see one little mushroom sticking up. Your entire land is full of mushrooms or the mycelium network. And they're like strings. They're like filaments. They're everywhere. They're not just on your property. They're on every property. It is the largest creature. It's more of them or it than anything. It's the most vast network known. It's in the air as spores. It's in water. It's in space. Everywhere and nowhere is where the mycelium are. It's M-I or M-Y for some folks, mycelium. When you see my or M-I or M-E, it means miracle. It's Latin. It's a miracle plant. It's not really a plant because they say, well, it's not a plant. It doesn't really have the DNA and RNA as we know it. It's not an animal. It's the. What do you mean by the? The means, the or the is based on theos. Like when we say the thing. The only way you could point to that thing and say the, because it exists in this world and it is part of the all, part of the theology of time and no time. Even when you say that and you point to something or say that person, in order to say that, that means that it exists in this realm so that you can detect it. This, the same thing. They, same thing. They, T-H-E. The mycelium are the master they, the master that. They are how to know when and how to know not to win. They are all things, all time. They exist in all dimensions at one time. They're everywhere and nowhere. They are the largest network of anything known just to man with his little piece. There's no place they're not. Underwater, they are there. Break open a stone, they are there. Cut a piece of wood, they are there. So if you were to say that I needed to point to something and call it God or the creator, that might be the place that you look, because it's omnipresent. It's everywhere, in every time, instantaneously. In fact, in the Mycelium network, there is no time. You see, this is the real Ethernet. Our Ethernet, which is basically slow, is part of, or them trying to mimic, the hypernet. The myceliums are part of the hypernet network, or are the hypernet network that ties everything together. That's the Akasha. Akasha. It is the breath of life as we know it. It's the oldest thing that they know of. They are older than the earth, older than rocks. And one of the things, by the way, that can break a rock down into powder, take a rock and turn it into soil. They're the alchemist. They convert things from one state to another. You couldn't have any plants without the mycelium network, because the soil is basically mycelium. Mycelium is taking the minerals in the soil and breaking them down and taking certain elements and feeding it to the plants. Because see, look, if you take a tree or any plant and you look at the root, right? How can a grain of quartz or a grain of boron or iron enter that root? It has to be broken down to very small elements, first into ions and then angstroms, very small, almost even nanoparticles. It has to break that down. And then it feeds it to the plant, because the cells in the plant, or the openings or the pores in that root, are very small. So it, right, has a symbiotic relationship with the tree or the plant or the flower or the weed. And it helps to feed. You know what's really interesting?
What?
You know, you got these big trees here in Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say that the tree is eating the minerals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how come there's not a big hole there? If it's eating the dirt, how come the tree isn't like in a hole, growing out of a hole? If it's been eating, if you got 100-year-old tree, you got sequoia trees that is bigger than your house. How come there isn't a big hole there? Because supposedly, according to man and his limited knowledge, that tree is eating the soil. But what they don't take into account, that it's not eating the soil. The mycelium is converting the soil in the first ionic particles, very small particles, and then angstrom size and nanoparticles, and feeding that to the plant. But at the same time, the mycelium is rejuvenating the soil and making more soil. So now you don't have a big hole where this tree was. You see, because these mycelium beings, these life forms are constantly feeding and converting and doing the alchemy and the transportation, the transmutation, and the translation of everything. They actually are connected to every other plant. So all oak trees speak a language.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if you take we have very special instruments that we can use to measure sound. And if you take these instruments and put them on an oak tree, the oak tree is beating. It's actually got a heartbeat. You go to a spruce tree. Boo, whoop, whoop, boo, boo, whoop, whoop, boo, boo. I'm asking the scientists, what's that? They say, oh, no, B, don't worry about that. That's nothing. That's just, interference, background noise. Don't you worry about that. No, I'm a drummer. I want to know what that is. Well, well, let's just go on. Over here we have, see, because a lot of times what they don't understand, overstand, understand, they can't exostand. If you can't exostand and stand outside of your ego and look at something, you're going to miss a lot because you're already stuck like concrete. You're cast to an idea that you believe to be right, but you're missing a lot because your spectrum is too small. The trees are talking. How is it that I go to another part of the forest miles away and that tree is making the same type sound? And why is it that when one oak tree senses something happening in the environment, they all pick it up? Because they're connected through the mycelium network. That is the internet of the earth. That is information traveling faster than light, faster than sound, faster than anything. It's instantaneous. It's connecting everything. It's the wiring. It's the super intelligence. It's the supernatural intelligence. Man can't hardly, perceive it. And keep in mind now, this is the oldest thing on the planet, and all life depends on mycelium. The mushrooms, the fantastic fungi, they're everywhere. They're responsible for our lives.
Mushrooms.
They live. They are life. They are also death. They're the thing that takes you from this world in the physical body. And when you leave your body, when your spirit, soul, body, your Merkaba, leaves your body to travel through other dimensions, the mycelium break you down. There's one specific mycelium that they say is, they say it's a fungus. Well, that's the same thing. It's called Candida albicans. People get like a yeast infection.
Mm-hmm.
That's Candida albicans. Candida's job is to take tissue that no longer has the electrobiorhythm and break it down and take it to soil. Turn it into earth. Compost it.
Let me I don't want to cut you off, but I want to play this real quick because it ties right into what you're talking about. And what's funny is that when I set up the show with you today, I immediately seen this on the Instagram, and it was like a synchronicity. And I'm like, wow, we're literally talking about something like this today. And you talked about the trees and having a certain language and hooking up a musical equipment to hear what they're saying. Listen and watch this real quick. I hope you can hear it. Watch this real quick. This is like 10 seconds. This is like 10 seconds. This is from shout out to We the Ether Instagram. I follow them on Instagram. Check this out. This is music. They hooked up equipment to a mushroom, and they're saying this is the music that the mushroom is making. I want to get your thoughts on this after this. Yeah, so that's it. It says, I believe that mycelium is the neurological network of nature, interlacing mosaics of mycelium infused habitats with information sharing membranes. These membranes are aware, react to change, and collectively have long-term health of the host environment in mind. The mycelium stays in constant molecular communication with its environment, devising diverse enzymatic and chemical responses to complex challenges. I see the mycelium as the Earth's natural internet, a consciousness with which we might be able to communicate. And I'll stop there and I'll let you talk. But what's your as especially as a music man, I'll let you elaborate on that. What you thought?
So what they were doing there, they were hooking electrodes that sense electrical impulses up to a synthesizer.
Mm.
I in no way would like to say that that sound you heard was the mushroom.
Mm.
Those were the impulses that man's electronic equipment could detect as electronic pulses, and they turned it into a sawtooth wave right there. That's what that was.
Yeah,
Then they put it,
reverb.
then they put the echoplex on it to make it,
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you something. Those two little wires that they stuck into that mushroom, they would have to have 1 billion wires.
Whew.
And that's just a small number to detect what the mushroom is emitting. That's only the fruit. They didn't plug it into the rest. They stuck it like into the head of the penis. And that's what they were getting it from there. That was the biorhythm they got from there. And it was just calling out and sending spores. That's what those mushrooms do. Those heads, they send out spores. They're like sperm. That's what they were listening to. They're, oh yeah, this is, they just said, what was it, like 3 weeks ago, they finally have detected that mushrooms speak 25 words. This was just in the news. I said 25. Well, that was 25 words that it could speak to you. 25 words that you could detect with your very small mind. Oh, yes, your voice be deep too. We today have discovered that mushrooms speak 25 words. The mushrooms are words. You couldn't speak words. You wouldn't have oxygen. You wouldn't have a foot to stand on. You wouldn't have earth. Gaia is a mushroom, a complex ecosystem of mycelium that lightning must strike. That's the mushrooms or the mother earth or mother Gaia or grandmother medicine sucking the light waves, sucking the biorhythm, sucking the electricity out of the clouds. Just like they now know that the sperm is not swimming towards the sperms have no sense. They don't know what direction is. They don't know. They're being selected by the egg, the ovum, the uterus, the udder. The udder is the word. It's putting out a word sound. It's singing a song to certain, sperm so that she could attract them. And when that sperm hits that egg, it dives in and dies. It dies on the cross. It dies on the crossroad between the membrane of the outside of the ovum to the inside. And then all of a sudden you see a little light glow. It's pulling the light out of what you call the sperm to begin to create the zygote and the life that it begins in. The cells begin to form in sixes. There's a whole 6 rhythm that's going on. So the music that they are making is the orchestra of life in the sound. I actually have some recordings that, when the people in NASA recorded the sounds of the universe that they thought they were hearing, because we had, these devices that thought we could pick up a large spectrum of sound. I have these sounds of the universe. And when you hear this, it's like, what is happening? Have you heard the crickets tuned down? Look up the crickets tuned down. Crickets tuned down to the human heartbeat. They took crickets, they recorded crickets outside, and they took them in the studio, gave them a session. The Crickets, that's a bad band. It's better than the Beatles, the Crickets. That'd probably be pretty tight, man. They took the crickets in the studio and recorded them. And when they tuned the crickets to the rhythm of the human heart, they found out that the crickets were singing. They sound like a choir. You can find this right now, man. You can play it right now if you can find it. When you hear this, they're all singing like, and then you say, okay, well, that's kind of cool. They're singing. It sounds like human voices. Then they switch up and go to the bridge. Then they hit a hip hop beat. And you're like, whoa, what's happening? Because you might like hip hop. So the crickets start singing a hip hop rhythm. You like jazz. The crickets start hitting jazz. They are responding to the environment, and you're a part of it. The crickets are singing a song, an earth song. Their feet are on the ground, and they're rubbing their legs together to create this rhythm. And they are speakers, like speakers singing the earth song. When you go outside at night, you will hear the frogs all singing a song, and these other things, you don't know what they are. You just hear sounds. What the heck is that? They're all part of this earth song that is the rhythm, the sound waves of nature or Neshru or Mother Earth or Gaia or Ethos, whatever name you want to call it, Al-Kibulan. It's singing a song. It is not just one song. It's all songs. It's music. It's the music of the galaxies. They found out that in what you mentioned it earlier, dark matter, right? Which is feminine energy, which is, 90% of the galaxy is full of this. It's this dark matter, what they call space, the final frontier, to go where no man has gone before, because it's feminine. It's feminine. It's liquid. It's fluidic space. They say it's no thing there. You have to listen to what they said. They just said it's no thing. No thing means no one thing. No one thing you could point out. Boy, what was you doing? I'm sneaking in grandma's candy. She could hear the jar from the bedroom. She said, boy, what you doing? I said, nothing. I am doing no one thing. I'm doing a whole lot of stuff. I'm deflecting. I'm lying. I'm hungry. I got sugar in my mouth. So sugar's in my mouth. My brain doesn't shut down. And I'm lying to grandma, and grandma know. The dark matter, the ark, which carries everything, not just two animals from here and two little beings from there, and because a flood is coming. The flood is the feminine fluid of the universe. It is always flooded with this dark matter. When you look deeply at dark matter is the mycelium network. It's in darkenment. It is the ark. It carries life. It's the spark. The spark is the dark, which is the ark, and the ark is carrying life, and it takes the things and it moves them. Only if you knew, only if you Noah, if you have the knowledge of the Noah and the Nomos, which is dolphins and the whales who carry the knowledge, who have a part of their head, right? Up in their head, they have this piece in their head called the melon. That little bump in the dolphin's head is called the melon. It's pure dark matter. It connects directly to the mycelium network. So they can biolocate anywhere at any time using the mycelium network. All the things in nature are communicating to each other through this network. We are the ones who have become confused because we've disconnected so far from nature. Man wants to control nature. Wow, look at this, the river here. You know what I'm saying? We want to change the flow of the river so we can put a building here. So they make a dam. They dam up God's energy and change the flow of the river so that man can build a city, a town. We want to make a car factory here, pour poison into the river. I mean, come on, man. This is, that's why we say toxoplasma, the parasite, has you doing self-harm. It has humans doing things that are going to harm themselves. The mycelium are attempting to convert things from one form to another. They have the most complex compounds of anything known or unknown. They are doing total transmutation constantly. They actually don't live in time. They're in time, they're out of time. They're now, they're then, they're everywhere, every place at one time. So they are the life. And we think, man told you that we was related to monkeys. That was a good one, man. People went for that. Oh, we. See, they didn't say you. They said we. Man is related. Humans are related to monkeys. That might be so. Humans are not the original folks. Humans are, even if you look up in the old law dictionaries, a human is a created being that is controlled and owned by somebody else. That's not the original. We go to the original, you got to get to the Nubians and the Twa, and then you got to go past them. Or how did we get here? As mycelium, travelers through space and time, the oldest things on the earth.
We came here as a mushroom then.
We're mushrooms. Them little Smurfs, they was on something with them Smurfs.
Ooh, the Smurfs. Oh, shit.
And they was on something. You know what I'm saying? They lived in little mounds. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
We're mushrooms. Go ahead.
I wonder if the creators of the Smurfs knew that, or was that like a channel from the shrooms? You know how like you get channels? I wonder if that was a channel.
They be talking. And you never know. I mean, it's a lot of stuff happening. Like some people say, like the Simpsons, they be, they know about, 20 years ago, they was talking about something happening now, because the mushrooms are connected to all time, and the filaments of the mushroom, the wiring is connected to everybody. And certain people are what we call pure channel. If you're pure channel, then you're connected. You're a sorcerer. Remember they was trying to kill all the sorcerers?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you trying to kill the sorcerers? Because sorcerers are people connected directly to source. They don't lie. They can't lie. They ain't got no time for BS. They tell you how it is, and they tell you some stuff that you couldn't possibly know, and they walk away. And they don't care. They don't have no ego. They don't need to be on the bandstand. They don't need no money. They're connected directly to source. There's beings on the planet connected to source. There has to be at least 10,000 sorcerers on the planet every moment. That's a whole subject right there. And sorcerers are people connected directly to source.
Shit, that's part 4.
You see? The sorcerer's apprentice. And the witches. I mean, the witch just was a question, man. It was like, which craft you use? You use water or you use herbs? What is your craft? That was a question. Which craft? Now they turn it into, oh boy, the witches were evil. Because they played with plants, and they used mushrooms and did things outside under the sun. I mean, under the moonlight in consideration. They call them lunatics. Well, if somebody call you a lunatic, say thank you. They'd say you're an idiot. Thank you, because I'm into the basics. Idiot is a person who's into the basic life. They may take their clothes off and get naked right here. You see? It's people get naked and lay around in the dirt and take mud baths and all that. What do you think they're doing? They're attempting to get the mushroom, the mycelium, directly into their skin. You say, oh, that's nasty. He's just a freak laying around in the garden naked. I can't believe it. He's out there right now. They got flashlights. The neighborhood is all there. The neighborhood watch talking about him. You know what I'm saying? A guy up the street, Harry, I came from another place. And I saw him out there at night. He was nude. He had some sexual relations in the garden.
Right.
You see, think he's related to the children of the corn. The children of the corn. Remember that movie, man? That was a scary movie, bro. Some of the movies, bro, man, that stuff was messed up, man.
Oh yeah.
Whoo! Man, come on. The mushrooms or the mycelium, they turn water into wine. How do you make wine? You take water and grapes or some fruit, and you let it sit out and ferment. Fermentation is when the mycelium come and do the conversion or the transmutation, and they join things, and off of it you get an alcohol. Just like when people eat fruit, if you eat fruit in a vegetable or fruit in any other product, what happens? It hits your stomach and it turns into it ferments. It rots. The fruit begins to rot and becomes alcohol. So it's a lot of people who have cirrhosis of the liver who didn't drink alcohol, but they love going to that fruit bar and eating all that fruit and all those vegetables and the eggs and old chicken wings and stuff at the fruit bar because like somebody told you you're supposed to eat fruit and vegetables together. Or you believe that you should, when you should never mix your fruit and your vegetables or anything else, because the fruit ferments. The mushrooms come and convert it.
Mhm.
Mushrooms turn rocks into bread. Is this something out of the Bible? How are you going to turn the rocks into bread? Well, the mushrooms break the rock down after many, many, many years into soil. They change. The mountains and everything are changing. You can go out and go, to your favorite place in the mountains and come back and it's changed a bit because between the water, right, and the mushrooms or the mycobacteria, that's a whole other thing. The mycobacteria, they break things down and change it and convert it. They're composting. See this whole thing about life after death? See, you can't create energy and you can't destroy it. You can only change it and move it. So this proves you can't die unless you really believe you can die. Then you just go to another dimension and just sit there for a long time because you don't think that you can, because most of your life on Earth, you thought you would just be dead. Mm-hmm. When actually life is life, life begets life, and life and death are a part of the same thing happening in two different spectrums, but you're never truly dead. You might be brain dead, but you're not really dead because the ions, the energy, the electromagnetism that created you, the light source, the biophotons are still there. But when you leave your body, the Candida albicans, that particular fungus's job is to eat tissue that is dead if that's the issue. The tissue is dead. So let's say you got athlete's foot. There's dead skin on your feet. It's no biorhythms. Candidiasis march down there, and their job is to take it and break it down. If a woman or if a person has thrush in the mouth, or a woman has, vaginal yeast, it's because the tissue is dead. Brothers is thinking about this. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. Yes, it's dead tissue, and it's an imbalance. The pH is out of balance. pH is potential hydrogen. There needs to be a certain amount of hydrogen present. Oxygen and hydrogen have to be present to help the life receive the energy. And if that is not present, it begins to choke the tissue. So Candida is attempting to save your life. Even though it itches and it's bad and it might have a smell and be funky, this is compost. Just think about it like that. You got first you get French bread growing. You got French bread growing down there. Then it turns into compost. And this is all like a garden. Mm-hmm. Until you get the right balance, right? The right energetic balance happening where the friendly bacteria, you have the natural flora, which are the friendly bacteria. And a lot of them are considered, fungi. Because there's an argument between what's a fungi and what's a bacteria. Mm-hmm. There's a place where it merges, and they have this whole thing. Well, fungi is blah, 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 blah. And they don't really know. So these beings are converting things like the soil, right? They give the soil, they break it down, give it to the plants. The plants give them back sugars. Because the plants are making sugar from the sun hitting the leaves, creating chlorophyll, which is magnesium based, and they create certain sugars. So there's a symbiotic relationship between the mushroom and the plants. There's a symbiotic relationship between us and the mushrooms and the mycelium. But sometimes, you have to go through this period of death to your old self. In order to grow, some part of you has to die. In order to live, something else has to die. This is regeneration. This is revelations. They keep saying these are the end times. These are the end times. It's always the end times. But at the same time, there's the end times, is the beginning times. If you have the end, there's the beginning. The beginning is the end. Is the end. So these beings, known as the mushrooms, are everything. They are the room. They are the womb. Mushrooms. You see, and that M is there to let you know that it is feminine. M and W and all those are really kind of, mostly feminine waves. You can see the wave. It's a wave. Us, mushrooms, we are in a womb. All of us. The womb is the mushroom. We live in a mushroom empire, a mushroom world where it's all around us. You can't get over it. It's so high, you can't get over it. So low, you can't get under it. You're breathing it in every breath. You're taking in these spores. Some of them are, helpful. Some of them will take you out. Like black mold, man. Come on, black mold to take you straight up out of here. Because that is a mushroom that is growing because of a certain condition. So you had a flood, and you know what I'm saying? It's in the wall, and you have that stuff growing there. So mushrooms are everything. Some of them give life, right? But some of them can take your fleshly life and take you up out of here. There's mushrooms you can eat, man, and you can't even finish chewing it. If you take 2 bites, you're out of here. You leave your body. You see? There's other mushrooms you take a couple bites and wait a little while and you're alive, but you're having a whole nother kind of out-of-body experience. We can get to that more in a minute. So unless we have the right intestinal balance, we need at least 32 strains of microflora, which is the bacteria and the fungi that actually keep your system functioning and are receiving the messages from the mycosphere. When you have the right gut strain balance or spectrum, you now can communicate better with this Ethernet, this hypernet. When your gut bacteria is off, it's out of balance, you can't communicate because you can't hear the music of the orchestra because you're sick. You're ill because you've been eating food. You took a piece of meat and you fried it really good with some grease, right? And turned it into a chemical. And that's what happens when you take a piece of flesh and fry it really quick. You create a glue. Huh? And that glue sticks. Certain types of food that we eat actually kills. You're actually killing yourself by eating certain foods or interfacing with certain people. You're shutting down your connection to the magnetosphere, the biosphere, the mycosphere. So you can't read the universe anymore. For instance, sugar. This is white processed sugar, brown sugar, from the sugar cane, which is sugar cane, cocaine. They're all basically, as only a couple molecules difference. Your brain, that's in your head, is not where your thinking is. Your thinking is not coming from your head. The brain is a computer network. The brain is a junction box. It converts certain hormones and chemicals and mixes them together so that your body you can operate in your body, but that's not your mind. That's your brain. And the brain is not the central processing unit. We have been told that the brain is the central processing unit. But why is it when they've given people lobotomies and basically took their brain out, they're still alive? They still eat. They still got certain habits. They still want to have a little intimacy. But they can't learn anything new. These are people that have had lobotomies. They did a lot of lobotomies in the 20s and 30s trying to figure out, how the brain worked, and they figured out that the brain is some type of networking station, but is not where the thinking is coming from. Now, when they cut out the gut of a person, they're done. If you take out all the intestine, because that is the first brain. You see, the only reason why our brain is so big today is because we had to get into competition mode to find food, to survive. So you got to be thinking. You got to figure out how to outthink somebody else so you can get there first. So your brain got big because you're always calculating. You didn't need that back in the day because people weren't in competition. Everything just grew. This was the Garden of Eden. Everything was everything. Everything was food. There was so much moisture and food in the air. Just in the molecules of air, there is food and nutrition. Not as much as it used to be. But like even in a rainforest, you know what I'm saying? There's lots of food or what you call mushrooms or spores in the air that you can actually be breathing if you breathe a certain way and take in that food source. Sugar. When you eat sugar, the first thing it does is it sends a shock wave to your gut. And it says you are trying to commit suicide, nutritional suicide, by eating something that is so denatured that it begins to kill. It's like it's like a pesticide for gut bacteria. Now remember, your brain, right? The junction box needs more sugar or more glucose than any other part of your body. And in your brain, there's a couple glands that are very important. One of them is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is that's like the captain that's looking out for everything to see what's going on. It's creating balance. It creates homeostasis. Whether you're hot or cold, that's regulated by the hypothalamus. Whether you're hungry or not, that's regulated by the hypothalamus. When you eat and you feel like you're full, that's regulated by the hypothalamus. And when you eat food, right, when you eat a certain amount of food, your stomach gets a certain amount of pressure. The mycelium and all of the friendly bacteria in your stomach say, we are satisfied. And there's a certain group of mycelium in your gut that make something called leptin. It's a hormone. The leptin travels right to your brain, to your hypothalamus, and the leptin tells your hypothalamus that you've had enough. When it comes to food, it's saying you had enough food. Push away from the table. That might be, a grapefruit. That's all you need today. It also regulates when you've had enough of anything. Arguments, drama, a relationship. The hypothalamus creates balance. But once the hypothalamus is going into paralysis, which is what happens when you eat 1, 3, 4, 5 grains of processed sugar, shuts your brain down. So you don't know when you've had enough. So you overeat. You overthink. You overdo. You overtalk. You're talking too much. You said enough. It's time to shut up. But you want to win the argument. I got to win. I'm smarter than them. It puts you in competition mode where you actually become the loser. The other thing that the sugar does is it sends a pulse code to your pineal that tells your pineal to shut down. The pineal now cannot pick up information from the environment or the cosmos. It also tells the pituitary that we are in poison mode. The pituitary is basically making things like oxytocin, the love hormone, the cuddle hormone, the one that makes you want to be intimate. It shuts it down. And you become aggressive because you don't have enough love vibration in you. This is sugar. And what's happening here? It's the it's the microbacteria, and it is the mushrooms that are making the hormones, which are chemical messengers that are telling your head where to create balance. They get shut down from sugar. So sugar is very destructive to the friendly bacteria, right? In the mycelium in your gut. So your gut does not work correctly. You have no gut feeling. So your gut feeling is connected to, something's happening on the event horizon. It hasn't happened yet. You can feel it because there's a pulse wave or an energetic wave coming from the thing before it happens, because your gut, right? The mycelium are operating outside of time. They're dealing with what's called precognition. When you're in precog mode, you already know. It doesn't have to happen before you know. You get a gut feeling. But because of the way we eat, the way we've been programmed, because of our culture, the things that we do that are destructive, because of the self-harm, because of, nutritional suicide, we're eating ourselves to death. And we shut ourselves off from the largest communication network there is. When you are in a special space, your solar plexus, which is the gut bacteria, glowing. This is the mycelium and the gut bacteria glowing. That's why they call it the solar plexus. Your gut is the largest bundle of nerves. It's the first brain. It glows and it becomes bioluminescent. It is sending out light waves that are sent out into the galaxy, and the galaxy picks it up. The galaxy is what? The milk. Galaxy. Galactose. That's why they call it the galaxy. It's based on milk. This milky substance, which is black, but it's wet and liquid, that is the mycelium network. So that light pulse waves that you are creating in your gut is going and traveling on the mycelium network and bringing you back information. When we eat, how we eat, who we hang out with, what we say, all of that affects the mycelium network and sends a pulse wave message through everything in every direction in all times.
I just seen somebody write something and I had the same thought in my head. Is fruit sugar is different though, right? From what
Totally.
you're talking about. Totally.
Because fruit sugar is a monosaccharide, one single simple sugar. When you eat a lot of other stuff, that's polysaccharides. That's lots of sugars, and there's different bacteria and different types of mycelium. You have to break it down. It takes a little time. They got to figure out what it is. Now, what is this? What is this? Oh, this is, we don't know if that's natural enough. Put it over there. It's like a whole factory going on, and it takes time for them to figure out and sort the mail. Information is like mail. They got to sort it. But with a single fruit sugar, they don't have to sort it. They know what to do. It just turns it right into energy instantaneously. That's why you should eat, fruit with nothing else. Berries are like superfood, man. Berries, that's one of the highest expressions of the plant before it becomes a seed. They are vibrating on such a deep level. When you have blueberries, right? Blueberries have far infrared light. Far infrared light is the energy spectrum that tells your cells to repair themselves. That's the one that signals the genes that fix broken genes. There's genes that fix broken genes. You heard what I said. And they need to listen, and they need to be waiting for their signal to go do their work. Far infrared, dark fruits. I mean, all red fruits, but the dark ones, dark grapes with seeds. They all have, even beets have it, and pomegranate. They have this far infrared energy, which tells the genes that fix broken genes to come online. That's why they say the Moors, right? They were berry pickers. They would travel the world looking for the best berries. Because they knew that they had to what? They had to feed the part of their brain or the substance in their head, right? Which is called magnetite, which is their what? Compass. Animals have this thing, this mineral that gives them their direction. Where are you? Who are you? Where are you going? What's your goal? That's the magnetite. It magnetizes you towards your goal. Half the time when we talk English, we're not even, what's gibberish. We don't know what you really want. You're speaking languages and in tongues that are twisted and forked. What is it you desire? You keep saying what you don't desire. So certain fruits and certain people, certain original people, they were able to, biolocate and speak across great distances, what they call telepathy or telepathy, because they were living more of a pure life. In fact, there was a lot of this food, this Franken food, man-made this, and you know what I'm saying? You're trying to make tofu look like a chicken. You know what I'm saying? Because you still want to have Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? It gets funny, man. You know what I'm saying? It's confusing to the system. So we have to have at least 32 strains of microbacteria. Now, there's a few products on the market. If you search for it, there's probably 3 or 4 what you call probiotics that actually have 32 or 34 strains. I would suggest everybody get one. Another thing is taking your shoes and socks off or getting naked on the soil. See, when your feet are on the soil, the soles of your feet are picking and connecting to the soul of the earth, and there is microbacteria and fungi immediately connecting to your skin, going in through your feet, up into your pelvis, which is a tuning fork. And for women, it hits the womb, and the womb begins to vibrate with a frequency, and it sends this information straight up the vagus nerve to their brain. Now, a lot of women don't have the ability to do this anymore because, first of all, they wore high heel shoes a little too long. So their pelvis is off. The tilt on their brain, you know what I'm saying? There's a whole, you have to be in balance. There's an S that the spine makes. So that kundalini, which is the snake, which is the caduceus, which is on the medical symbol, that's the caduceus, that's the snake, that's the kundalini energy, the snake energy. But when you are off tilt, when you're the ball of your foot, the heel of your foot is off the ground, you can't connect with the mother. You don't know who you are. All those bones in your feet are off. You're out of balance. Who created the high heel shoe? You didn't. You think it's cute and it's beautiful. Oh, yeah, I'm fine now. Yeah, you fine, but you're not refined because you have no idea. You don't know how to know when and how to know when not to know when. You're just kind of out there trying to be pretty. And most of the stuff for women, right, that we call pretty and beautiful was made by men. And men at this particular time, way back in the day, didn't like women. And they didn't want you to be able to connect because they wanted to take control. Because back in the day, it was a matriarchal. The women had it. The women were government and everything. The men didn't have to do all this work. You don't need a man doing all this work. There's certain jobs a man is, supposed to be doing. But when it comes to church and state and belief and spirituality and food, that's the woman. But when you get the woman to be disconnected and you put her breast in bras, right? You get her to straighten out her hair. The hair, right, is picking up information from its environment. And the minute you straighten it with a hot iron and flatten it and process it, she no longer is in connect with grandmother medicine. It's just out here. No, it looks pretty. You look better now. Better than natural kinky, coily hair. That kinky coil, is what's picking up the orgone energy, because the orgone energy is the energy that is wrapped around the planet, that the microcosm, right? The microcosm and the microcosm are connected through the mycelium. They sent this music, and your hair with the coil in it is picking up this energy and all of the frequencies that are present in nature, so you know how to win at any moment. You just know. So they created a lot of stuff that we call beautiful. That actually you're not being you. You're not full of yourself. You're not full of you. Be you. You're not being you. You're being what they need you to be, because once the woman wakes up, once the woman wakes up, this thing it's over. We can cancel Christmas because Christmas ain't got nothing to do with you. Actually, it does. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Yeah. But not the Christmas that you have, because the Christmas that you have is crossing you out. I'm not saying don't do Christmas. Go on and do it. Don't be saying Dr. B said don't do Christmas. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that you about to hang on the cross because you don't know the ritual of it. Do you know the Christmas stories got to do with mushrooms? Almost every religion was built based on mushrooms. That's why they call them the Most High. And they are wearing these mushroom-shaped hats. They got the, you look around Jesus's head and you see this aura, right? It's actually the bottom of a mushroom. If you take a mushroom and cut it and you see the little gills underneath, place that behind the head. They're saying that he is being fed. Jesus is a mushroom. He's on the cross for you. The mushroom is at the crossroads between dimensions or membranes, and it is what is dying for you. The mushrooms, right, will give up their life force and their energy to enlighten or to electrify you. Well, this is a mushroom story? Yes. And them people was high back in them days, man. Come on, man. He done went up on the mountain by himself in the cave and came back, man. He done had a few mushrooms or something, or some acacia, or, ate a pine cone hole, and all of a sudden the angels came to him. Gabriel came to him, or whoever came and talked to him. He heard God. Mushrooms.
Dr. B, why do they say before, you were talking about the people getting high on mushrooms, they say you should fast or not eat a lot before you take mushrooms, because if you got a full stomach or if you got food in your stomach, you'll have a bad mushroom trip.
First of all, I don't, as a medicine man, and I was, I took an oath with a tribe to become a medicine man. I had to go through training, and you take certain oaths. There's certain things you don't do. You have to do sacred things in sacred times and in sacred places. And the main thing is to do no harm. That is the prime directive, to do no harm. The intaking of these plant teachers has to be done in special situations, a special environment. You have to be in a place that is a place where it's not going to get confused with other ideas. The concept is, if you've got food in your stomach, you've got information in your stomach. Your gut is already reading what is in the food. And half of what we're eating is not food. It's just stuff that fills us up and makes us feel good. And the stomach or the gut is a juicer. So it's trying to pull juice out of whatever whatever you're eating is turning into a juice. And it takes 80% of your body's energy to convert this mass that you're eating into a juice. Mm. So if you're looking to take a myco trip, this is when folks, are myconauts, you know what I'm saying? And, we may use mushrooms to take a journey outside of ourselves. And you've got certain foods in your body. The food is sending messages to the microcosm and saying that, what is all this stuff? And all the energy can't go to you shooting directly out of yourself on a certain angle, on an angle of light, an angel of light. So it gets confused. Like a lot of folks do mushrooms just for fun, entertainment. Well, the mushrooms are very intelligent and they don't waste time and energy. So they give you a little light show, let you laugh and have a little fun, but they don't drop you into the multiverse. Mm-hmm. They don't take you into the exoverse. People talk about there's an exoverse. There's a place outside of everything. It can't take you there because you're not ready and you're being disrespectful. You're just having fun. And some folks just go buy some mushrooms. Who'd you get them from? Where'd you get those mushrooms? Oh, my homie, I got the homie up the street. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's my boy. You know what I'm saying? He got the, you know what I'm saying? He picks them, man. Oh, so what land were they on? What was in the property? What was there before? What energies were present in the soil or in the dung? Because they grow in cow dung, some of the best ones. What was happening with those cows? You see? And when you partake in it, you got to know where it's from. You have to know the mindset of the beings that you got it from. Is it just about making some money? Because this is a sacrament. So you don't want to be sacrilegious and do something against life. So it's best if you do this in the proper place, in the proper space, and you have your directions and you have a goal. And like you say, the fasting or the not eating is going to help take you there quicker. Now, a lot of times before people will take the trip, they'll write down or they'll think about what they desire. I'll tell you right now, the mushrooms don't care what you desire because your brain, your mind is so small. You have no idea what you really need. They're going to go and work on, the blockages in your neural networks, right, that are keeping you shut down and caught in gravity, and give you only what you really need based on the original being within you. So that's why a lot of people say, I had a bad trip, man. It was crazy. I saw all this ugly stuff. Bad things happen. It was bad stuff going on inside of you. And it had to go work that out. And during the transmutation process, what it's doing is it's composting. Some of them vegetables that you composting, I mean, the soil got this is like you can smell it. It's funky. It smells bad. It's got to go through a process. And there's off-gassing going on. So if a person is going to do something like those magic mushrooms, I suggest they do it in a very sacred way. Now, some folks know how to do that. Some folks are just doing it because they're in a group, and they got these, groups now that get together every week, and they all travel together. You see, the shrooms is an alone journey. This is something you're not going to be communicating with other people when they drop in and take over. They take you into the alternate universes. You see the substructure of everything. And some of it is ugly because there's some stuff going on that don't look too good to you. But then ultimately what they do is they help to repair neurons, nerves, where you're damned up, what they call the God damned. They begin to work on those pathways so that you can be connected again. And most people who have done one of these trips, they change forever. If they've done it properly, it changes you forever. It's the first time most people have a true spiritual experience. This ain't just because you got a bowl and a crystal and you ate quinoa and drank tea and you're humming and you got your ohms and all that. This is different than that. Because that's some stuff that man has created, and it's a small dimension of the mass multi-dimensions of the multi-dimensional universe out in the quantum field. So they take you into the quantum field. And there's several plants that do this. There's different plant teachers that people now are getting into and going to South America, and they taking this tree and the bark of that. And the folks now, it's like they're hooked on it. They do it every week. I'm asking the question, well, so you're doing this plant. Oh man, it's deep, man. It's deep. It's uncovering the deep of the deep. And I said, well, what's happening? What has changed? You've been doing this for a year or two. What's changed? And almost everybody I asked, they kind of said, well, what do you mean, man? I said, I think you're just getting high. I don't think it's anything changing. When I was out with the real folks and we had to eat some stuff and do some things, let me tell you something. I changed, shifted. It was not the same. I couldn't even use cell phones and stuff because I could hear the frequencies of the cell phone. I could hear other people's text messages. It's too much information because you get to this place, this sweet spot, where everything comes from that sweet spot. Because see, when you tap into certain plants, they're tapping into your DMT. That DMT is like the substance, right? It's a frequency that takes you out of body. When you're dreaming, when you're in REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, you're having an out of body experience. You're traveling through the verses. Some people say before a person dies, their whole life plays back. Or certain states when people get knocked out or something happens, they leave for a minute. The DMT kicks in. And that DMT is a deep thing because it the pineal, primarily, it's other things too, but primarily the pineal is the one that emits or excites or it sparks the cascade of penoline. That's what Santa Claus and Christmas is about. Yeah. let me just take you to, because I wrote a few notes so I could be clear with this.
Mm-hmm.
The pineal is the first eye.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first one to develop. So this whole third eye thing, that consciousness right there has got you shut down by calling it the third eye. Because you trust these physical eyes more than you do that eye, but that eye can read more of the light spectrum, the energy spectrum than anything else. That's why, the Ray Charleses and the Stevie Wonders and people who are what you call non-sighted are very sighted.
Mm-hmm.
Very sighted, because you rely on these eyes, and there's other senses and sensations going on that, since you're relying so much on these, you're actually lying. You're a deadliner. You're lying. In other words, you're a flatliner. You're not moving out into these other realms. The pineal at the right point will emit this pinealine. Pinealine is it's like a hormone, but it's different than a hormone. So melatonin, things like that are part of this pinealine. Notice it has pinealine. It's a pine. It's a point. It's a cap. It's the capstone. It's the captain. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Pinealine is also known as beta carboline. It's a carbon substance. It's triple black. It's from the source. It's known as black gold. It's anointing oil. It's the Kundalini oil. It's also known as chrism, where you get Christmas from the chrism oil. It also is known as the fluid of Christ consciousness. And Christ technically means crystallized imagination. It it activates neurogenesis, which regenerates neurons, because your neurons are going to get, if you live here, period, your neurons are always breaking down, you're getting new ones. Even when you cry, right? When you cry, inside the tears are these little particles, right? These particles are broken off nerve cells. When you cry, you're having emotion about something. That's why they say you should go on and cry and let it out. Because in the tears are the little branches of your nervous system that are connected to the issue that is holding on to the emotional tissue. And if you cry and let it out, the dendrites, right, which are the little teeny branches, break off and they're in tears. Now, if you don't cry, like a lot of us men, we hold it in, you know what I'm saying? You tough, you know what I'm saying? Man, I ain't gonna deal with it, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool, bro. I got this. The heck with it. Let me just walk away. Well, what you're doing is building up tissue, which becomes inflamed, and that tissue is where the idea is, because the subconscious mind is in the body. The subconscious mind is...
Oh, my fault. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Is that the mushrooms talking?
Yeah, I had it in the back window. My fault.
Mushrooms talking. Bring it on, brother B. You know,
ahead, brother.
talking. You and brother Rich are on it.
Oh man,
that's what I heard it say, man. Y'all gotta keep this up. Y'all gonna be on next week too.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, brother.
Where was I?
It was deep. Last thing I remember, you was talking about the dendrites breaking off from the tears.
Dendrites.
Yeah.
They're little particles. They look like, your nerves look like trees when they get to the nerve, when they get to the tissue. So those little particles are dendrites breaking off when you cry. You know what I'm saying? Also, when you have what they call a screaming orgasm and things like this, they actually they break off these things that are connected to old tissue, because the tissue is in the issue. Most of your stuff that you're remembering is not in your head, it's in your body. The subconscious is called the body mind. Each part of your body has a memory, right, for certain things. They call it muscle memory, cellular memory. It's in your body, not in your head. You see? So when you get to certain states and you begin to let it out, it's like a lot of times when people do things like, some of these plant teachers, they begin to cry or scream or holler, and they're outgassing a lot of stuff that was connected to tissues. What this pinealine does this chrism, it helps you outwit the devil. The devil is the disagreeable side of your own self. That's all that stuff that's supposed to be in the trash heap that you're holding on to. Because you keep bringing it up, talking about the past. See, it's supposed to be dead and gone, but now it's haunting you because you keep bringing it alive. That is the dev I ill. The dev, the devoided, right? The part that should be down. I ill. The dev I ill is not some creature with horns and all that, half woman, half man, and it's got this, and it's got a, it's got this, this pitchfork, which is a whole deep thing within itself. We ain't gonna go there right now. When the pineal, the hypothalamus, your thalamus, and the other glands are working in concert, you begin to outwit the devil. You begin to dance away the things that are holding you down in gravity. You begin to move out of that. You dance your way out of your constrictions and your restrictions. This substance is also known as a wine. That's why in a lot of the religious, systems, they always got some wine they drinking. And, it's always some dark wine. Remember I told you earlier, those dark berries, when they're fermented, right, they create a substance that, you feel a little high because you're, inebriated. You're a little high in church. Sometimes you got to be high to believe in some of this stuff. So you're drinking that. Actually, my church, they didn't have no wine. They had manischewitz. You know what I'm saying? I said, man, what is this? What they get there? I'm 10 years old. I said, why can't we have some real wine? We eating the bread. What is this bread? It's French bread. It's old. Everybody been touching it. Everybody down this line then took a piece of this bread. This is nasty. You're supposed to be something believable. You know what I'm saying? They're dunking folks in tap water, talking about now they're anointed. Y'all better go get some real holy water. Where's the holy water at? Where is it? Somewhere we got to climb a mountain and get some proverbial natural water from the hills of Hillish? No, this is tap water. This is the city water. And you talking about, now I know God. No, I know about water. Tap water. Anyway. And then you're ashy afterwards. They ain't got no oil at the church. Can I have a little skin or a little ointment? Hey, I remember when I got my baptism, I was dry. I said, Mom, dry. She said, shh. I can smell the chlorine in that water. I'm the one who, this is deep. Let me leave that alone. I'm not messing with y'all. Forgive me, for I know not what I do. The pineal is the White House, the lighthouse, the White House, the lighthouse, the White House, the lighthouse. It's the city of lights. It is in the land of milk and honey. What comes from the pineal is called milk. I'm sorry. Cancel, cut, delete, and clear. It is the honey because it's gold. It's like a dark honey, like a honey wine. That's why the Ethiopians drink honey wine when you get married, and you only got married during the full moon. And that's why they talk about the honeymoon, because the honeymoon, you only got married on the full moon, and you drink honey wine that was made by these priests and priestesses. The honeymoon. Now, what's your honeymoon all about? Where'd you get that ritual? You're missing little pieces, which keeps you at a place of walking towards your divorce, your demise. Never mind, we're going to leave that alone. Dun, dun, da, da, dun, dun, da, da. That's a death march.
You talked about that, yeah.
Right. So this is the Star of Solomon, which is your pineal. It's the Star of David, which is the vibration or the light. When the mycelium connect with the pinealine oil, it now drips down on the tree of life, which is your nervous system. There's 3 sections to your nervous system: the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, and the vagus nervous system. That is the tree that the gifts are under. And the oil drips down on the part of your brain called the colossus. Santa is sacred. The sacred Klaus. They're talking about your body. And this oil goes down the 33 vertebrae and it dies on the cross at 33. They're talking about your body. It is the mycelium that when this happens, send a wave of information. It sings songs to the universe that you are alive and you deserve the gift. So you celebrate. You vibrate your cells. When you vibrate your cells, you send a wave back to her, the dark matter. And she sends more waves to you. And the mycelium begin to dance. And you become the next level of being. And what's happening now, because we are in this, now we're in what we call the Lion's Gate. This whole thing is amplified thousands of times. Because the wave of the alignment is happening with, between the sun, the earth, you know what I'm saying? And our solar plexus, the hearth, the fire inside, the lights inside are on. And that is the guiding star. That's why it's so important for you at this particular time to have a clear-cut goal. What would you like? Where are you going? You got to get a lot of sun. You got to get a lot of vitamin D3 so that you can hold the light, because light is information. So that the black gold, the melanin, right, is going to be the thing that you're looking to have so that you receive the gift, so that you can elevate and levitate out of the place that you've been in, so that you can do the transmutation and go to the next level. You're going to levels. But because when you're disrespectful, you've disrespected your body, you disrespect your word, you disrespect your people, you disrespect the universe, the omniverse, you disrespectful to the mycelium, guess what? They punish your ass. Let's keep you low, because you know what I'm saying? And you tripping, you think you so deep, boy, you got your ankhs and your pyramids and your slippers of, I saw a dude the other day, man, he was so deep, he had on the genie slippers. This cat was so quiet. And this was crazy, man. We at the store, and this cat gets out of his car. You could tell he was a yoga cat, right? He was so serious. He was speaking so softly. He had on a suit, man. I'm trying to tell you what he had on, the white. I've never even seen this kind of white before. And he's wrapped up, right, with had his turbans, his diadem on. And he walked through the store like this. He was holding his beads. And he had these shoes, man. And the shoes at the, they got the little curl on the front, like the genie shoes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I wonder where he bought them, man. How much did they cost, man? Do they hurt his feet? And they was real narrow, right? Right? And he's rubbing his beads. And he buys his stuff and he tells the lady, thank you very much. Much love and such to you. Gives her a little stone or something. Oh, I'm watching this cat, right? He gets in his car. He's got this old Volvo, right? Looks like my brother. My brother used to be in the Volvos, right? So he's in this old Volvo. And he's about to back out. He puts his car in reverse, and an elderly lady pulls up behind him, and she is turning, and he's trying to come out, and she can't see him for some reason. So she almost runs into his car. He blowing his horn. He's screaming. He gets out the car. And he's cussing her out. He takes off his turban and throws it on the ground. He's cussing this lady out. The lady's in the car. She's scared. She's like crying, oh God, I don't know. I thought you was holier than thou a few minutes ago. You see the elderly lady? She's been through a lot in this world. This woman was probably around during the days of Hitler. You don't know what happened. But you're so disrespectful and you're so high and mighty because you're so conscious and you're so connected. You're a yogic master, or you're a king, or you're a queen, or you're whatever you're calling yourself. But at the root, there's trash. You think the mycelium don't know about that? They're not going to let you into the next level. So you can just stay here and have a huge ego on earth and die instead of living forever. The mycelium will help you. Once you begin to be respectful of yourself, your body, your loved ones, that don't mean you can't cuss every once in a while, but you just can't think that you're better than everybody because we're all in this, we're in a soup, a proverbial soup, and we're all connected together in this web. So that's what, I'm teaching that in these classes that we've been doing. This is like the third week of these certain classes we're doing. We're helping people reach the place that they'd like to be, because there's certain things that you need to say. There's certain activities. I have a class online right now where it gives you the 7 tools. The 7 tools, 7 things that you must do every single day so that you can reach the land of milk and honey, so that you can escape the gravity of a dying world, because this sucker's going to hell in a handbasket. I don't even know what a handbasket is, but it's rough out there for some folks. And some folks are not feeling it because they're on a different trajectory. They're on a certain angle. So, we got this class. It's called, what is it called? I don't even remember the name of it now. Where is it at? I got all these courses. I can't sometimes always. Oh, Life Transformation System 1. I just put it back up. It's a 9-hour course to help you reach these other levels. Another one we have up there.
Tell me one of the things we should be doing every day. You said you got 7. Give us a sneak peek.
Draw a circle on the ground. Before you get out, when you wake up for the first 11 seconds, you have no idea who you are. You could be a ladybug, a stick, a mushroom. You don't know. You could be a pineapple. You're attempting to come back to consciousness. So now, as soon as you come back to consciousness, right? Don't just jump out the bed. Before you take your first step, see, step number 1 is knowledge. Your first step in anything is the knowledge of what you're stepping towards. You take your finger and clockwise make a circle, like an imaginary circle on the ground, and draw that circle. Don't step, don't do anything. Just draw the circle on the ground and put in the circle one thing that you desire today. What's your goal? You don't need to get out of bed till you get this together, bro. So it might be health, love. It could be just one word. It needs only one word. Don't put no deep stuff and have no whole long mantra. One word. Joy. Don't, happiness, I wouldn't use that, because happiness is fleeting and it's a happening that it's going to happen and it might not happen and it's happened, but it's gone. Maybe joy, love, peace, forgiveness. These are great ones. Gratitude. A powerful one is gratitude. And you just draw that circle, make a circle, right? You could do 3, either do 3 circles or 7 on the ground. Big enough for you to step into. And you step into it. You just told every cell of your body. You just told the whole network, the hypernet, what your goal is for today. That's your first step. Your second step will be automatic, because you just set up a rhythm. We now know what key. We now know the time signature. I mean, we need to know you got to give me the BPMs. What is the beats per minute of the song? We got to know that. This sets your rhythm. This sets your timing. This is your tuning. This is your tuning fork. That one thing changes everything. You could use that right now and everything begins to change. But there's 7 principles that we give you in that course. And I break down why. And when I'm teaching, I'm giving it to you and I'm speaking in many languages. I'm speaking kinesthetic, auditory, and visual. That's how you truly teach. It has to be kinesthetic, auditory, and visual, because that's the gates into the subconscious. And then you also have to use hypnotic rhythm. So repetition of the kinesthetic, auditory, visual gateway is how things drop in deep inside of you. And another thing, you got to have the right use of imagination. See, that's another course that we have, right? It's up now too on the website. The right use of imagination is, see, you're imagining everything. Somebody told you some stuff and you can vision it. You can, envision it in your head. You're imagining it. They told you what's happening on the news today, the 6 o'clock news, and they tell you what's going on, and they show you some pictures. You begin to imagine it. And you think it's real because you've been getting hoodwinked since you got here. Your parents believed in the news. Everybody believed in the news. It's on the news. The other day, they said it was raining in my neighborhood. It wasn't a drop of rain. It was the sun was out. People was out with them. You ever see that? When people be out with umbrellas, it ain't even raining. Well, it's going to rain. Ain't no clouds. But you believe it. You follow it. You follow the lie. You're being the lie because you're so used to following what the mainstream says, because you've become a part of the fold, the flock, the sheep. Once you begin to set yourself aside by creating your own imagination, look at the word imagination. Take that word. You know how many words you could spell out of imagination? I am a genie. I am a genie of nation. I am a nation. There's so many words. I did a class once just on the word imagination. We was there for 4 hours. Just on imagination. The right use of imagination. So if you imagine that you're the bomb, I know all this stuff. I got to go be deep today. I got all these followers and such, and you don't have any humility and any true love. You have crystallized that imagination, and that's who you are. That could be very disrespectful because you may not be operating at the level of true love. So when you start studying the map of consciousness is where a lot of this comes from. When you talk about, high vibration and all that comes from kinesiology. Through muscle testing is one of the things that I do. Even when I'm formulating herbs, I'm muscle testing constantly, because when the muscle is strong, so I can do it just like this. If the muscle is strong, then I know it's an affirmative. If the muscle becomes weak, then it means it's not good for this moment or this time, or that thing is not good for me, or it's not good to put that amount. That's how I know how many drops of something to put in a solution. I'm not trusting my mind in what I've studied. I'm doing kinesiology, which is muscle testing. And the muscle becomes strong. That is the lie detector test. When they put all that stuff on you and they get a baseline, they ask you some questions, a couple lies and a couple truths, they get a baseline. Then when something is affirmative, that line is smooth because there's no, your muscle is strong, but it's not struggling. When something is not affirmative or something is a lie or not factual, what happens is you have to struggle to turn that into what you're calling truth. And the muscle becomes weak. It's called muscle testing, kinesiology. And there's many different types, you see. So when we begin to look at the map of consciousness, and this, a really good book is Power versus Force. This is a good start. Y'all see this?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I literally was just about to ask you if you read that book. Oh. Excellent book. I literally was. Then you put this shit is. I was about to ask you, and then you showed the book. It's crazy.
See what I'm saying? Because we're connected. It's the mycelium. See,
mycelium. Yeah.
But when you read the book, it's confusing because the first half of the book is all science, man. This is like you start falling asleep, and he tells you. He says, "Well," because I got the book or audio book too, and he tells you the first half of this book we're going to work on the analytical side of your brain. It's going to be very technical. And then when we get to the center, we're going to be in between the left brain and the right brain. And at the end of the book, we're going to talk about intuition. And he actually teaches this way. Mm. So the book was, it was all right. But I actually used the techniques without the technology. But then there's another book by him, The Map of Consciousness Explained. That one breaks it down. It's a whole, you got to get a whole library. He's got a whole library of books. To be able to get this, these were studies that were done in the early, 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. They were studying science for real. People really wanted to and desired to know some real facts here. And they weren't so much into trying to, I shouldn't say brainwash, program people to be zombies. You know what I'm saying? Programming people to be to be drones. When you study this chart, there's a chart in this book on page 90. This is it all, y'all. The chart goes from 20 to 1,000. This chart. 20 to 1,000. It has to do with where you're existing, how you feel, how you look at life, and how you live. Your being. How are you being? The average person today, now remember 20 is the lowest on this chart. The average person today is below 1 on this scale of consciousness. Mm-hmm. Even our people that we are calling conscious. Look, 200, right? 200 in this book is when you're just permitting. You're just reached courage, what they call courage. and you're being empowered at 200. At 200, you can now go up to the higher dimensions. If you can't get to 200, which most people are at, like I said, less than 1, the ego and all of that keeps you in the pain body and your who you think you are. And the, like I said, the disrespect for the world and the world at large, you cannot get to the higher dimensions because the mycelium keep you compressed and repressed and depressed because you're dangerous. They can't let you out there into these other dimensions out in space. That's why man can't really go to space. All this about how they really went to space. They just local. Oh, they went to the moon. They've been. Let me tell you something, bro. Don't let me go there. Never mind. Let me stay here. The level of love, pure love, is 500. One person vibrating at pure love will affect 750,000 people on the planet instantaneously. One person vibrating at pure love, even if it's for a second, sends a vibration through the mycelium network that affects 750,000 people. If 10,000 people, Brother Rich, could vibrate at pure love, if only for one night, this is what the song is about. If only for one night, if we could vibrate at pure love, 10,000 of us, every person in the world would be rejuvenated. Not forever, but they would receive the information that's vibrating because the mycelium network is like a spider web. It's connected to everything. That's the only reason that we're still here, because there's usually people all over the world who are lighthouses who are emanating and generating pure love. Not love as a noun, a naming word. They're in the action of it. They're forgiving. If you can't forgive yourself, your family, and your friends for imperfections, because everybody's imperfect, you're mad at this person because they're imperfect? Well, he did this to me. See, you're never going to get there. You're very low on this vibrational scale, and you're affecting and making a cesspool of everybody around you. So what we're doing is we are attracting at this particular time 10,000 people. If you feel like you're one, we're working together. We're building a real community of lovers. True lovers. You can't be in love if you're still mad about what happened in the past and what happened to your relatives. You'd have to understand that that happened. Now what we're going to do is move towards an angle of light, an angel of light, and we're going to send a wave of energy through the mushroom that are everywhere listening to you, ready to react based on your point of view. When we reach this beautiful place of respect and honor, when we receive this energy that's coming to us, right, and we realize that we're gifted, when you realize that you are a phenomena, when you realize that you have to be the cultural creative, you have to create something that's never been created before. I got a lot of notes here because, after you and I talked today, I said, Rich, be honest, I better write some notes. Man, I only read like 3 or 4 of the notes because it's too much. I have to stay connected to the vibration, and the vibration that you're emitting is the vibration of pure love. That's the only reason why I'm here with you. We're travelers together because your countenance and your vibe is one of pure love. That don't mean you don't get mad sometime and go off, and you know what I'm saying. And that's not what I'm saying. Is that you? Most of the time, you've drawn your circle on the ground and you're going through the total life transformation constantly every single day to reach a higher goal. It's going to be challenging. The higher you go, the more gravity is going to pull you. You know how when you start getting there, because people start talking about you funny, talking behind your back. They got gossip. Well, see, blah, 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 he such and such. And people are trying to argue with you and ask you crazy questions. Some folks call me, you know what, Dr. B, I don't agree with you. Well, you ain't got to call me and tell me you don't agree with me.
Like, okay.
Okay, you don't agree. You think all the mushrooms agree? It's mushrooms you eat that will take your ass up out of here before you finish chewing. Nothing in nature is in agreement, but they all have a system and they know their place. Don't call me with no BS. And don't call me with some long message. I say, well, what would you like? I'm going to give you 5 minutes on the phone. Well, see, Dr. B. And they start mentioning all the things they do not desire. Language is very important. We're going to talk about that on Saturday because we're doing part 3 of our a Sirius opportunity class this Saturday at 11 o'clock. And we're going to get a little bit into the language. I went to this concert last night. So it was Sheryl Crow. And I was, I never really was into her music. I don't hardly remember her songs, but my friend Keb Mo was on the show. Keb Mo and I go way back. He's an amazing guitar player, metaphysical brother. He's on a whole nother level. So I went to go, support him, and he's into my herbs, and we go way back. We're friends. So I'm his herbalist, and he's my friend and confidant. And it was a sister who performed before them, and she was a really good singer. She was singing her behind off. I'm like, go on, sister. And then the last song, she says, I'm about to do a very cosmic, spiritual song. It's very important for all of us to say this song and to realize that this is a cosmic message. I said, okay, she about to go here. The song was, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. She said, everybody say it with me. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. I'm not saying this. What do you mean don't give up? How is that good to not give up? It's things you need to give up. It's things you need to let go. That sounds like a good statement. Don't give up. And it's do not. Do and not. Don't give up what? Don't give up that relationship that you've been in that's been eating you alive. Don't give up that food that's giving you parasites and you eating toxoplasma in every meal. Don't give up that bad anger, hate and, judgment, vibration. Don't give that up. Then what do you mean? Don't give up what? You might say never quit, but you better say what to never quit. But statements like don't give up, never give up. That's what keeps you in mental, physical, spiritual slavery by saying this stuff. And you have no idea what you're saying and you're not giving it a direction. So the mycelium are listening. Don't give up. But they don't want to give up. You got to give it up. To get to the next level, you got to give up the level below it. And you can't get on an ego trip because no matter how high you go, there's people higher than you. And no matter how low you go, there's people lower than you. So you have to have this understanding, overstanding, understanding that you have to be in a loving place. And in a loving place is you work each day at setting that circle on fire with desire and have a goal. You have to be goal-minded. That means there has to be a treasure map. You need to know your prime directive. And a lot of people say, well, Dr. B, I keep getting off and, I don't want to get the herbs right now. I said, well, go get the medicine music. I said, I've got medicine music on the track on the website that you can download that keeps you on point. This medicine takes you on an odyssey. We're using the sounds of nature. We got the sounds of water. And it's not some water that I went and sampled. I actually went to different rivers and lakes and recorded rain and crickets from all over. Me and my partner, we traveled just to record these sounds. And then we put music and instruments from all over the world in this tapestry to help people elevate their consciousness through music. So what we're doing at this time is we're looking for 1,000 people who would like to come together in a sacred situation. We can't tell everybody. You can't be out talking. Sacred. I'm down with the sacred societies, that ones that were doing something good for the world. A sister called me, man, when I was on your show the first time. And she said she worked for a place that turned blood into medicine. Now, I ain't going to say no more because I can't say too much about it. They do what? Turn human blood into medicine. Do you know half the medicines you take and you don't even know what it is? Half of it is placebos, sugar pill or water pill. A water pill. How you took water and dried it? Yeah, they got dry water. You're dehydrated. You take that, you just get dry mouth. But you believe in the doctor so much. You believe in the leader of your group so much that it actually happens. You crystallize your imagination. So my point is, why don't we imagine something that can really help us all and cut through a lot of this ego and separation and judgment and really create something new. Let's find this level of love. And to get to this level of love is not simple, because the love that we know of is not actual, true, factual love. The Mycelium network is true love. And love sometimes has to take something out. You may have to kill a part of yourself, put yourself in a basket, right? And send part of yourself down the river and you got to let go of some of your old ways and your old self. We're all doing it. Even I am not there. We're all working on getting there. This is a work in process. So don't put yourself down when you fail. A lot of people say, well, I slipped. Dr. B, I was supposed to fast for 3 weeks and I only made it 3 days. Well, did you celebrate the 3 days? Well, no, because I failed. No. Had you ever fasted for 3 days before? Well, no. Well, celebrate the 3 days. Well, I only wanted to celebrate if I made it 2 weeks. You made it 3 days. There's people on the planet could never even do that. Celebrate what you have. If you got a bowl of rice, celebrate that you have a bowl of rice. There's people that don't have a bowl of rice. There's people on the world going through all kinds of pain and discord. So if you're feeling good today, be like a lighthouse and send energy out to everyone around you. Send some love out. Slap that stuff out your mouth with that foolishness where you just got to look at and stop talking about what they're doing. This is a big issue, Brother Rich. Folks want to talk about what they are doing and the conspiracy. The conspiracy is the one between your conscious and your subconscious. The conspiracy is between your higher self and your lower self. The conspiracy is between your gut and your brain. The conspiracy, right, is between you and the mycelium network and why you can't get on that angle of light to get up out of here. You got people that are doing amazing things. A lot of people have changed the way they've eaten. A lot of people have done the alchemy to let go of dis-ease and discord. A lot of people are getting rid of their parasites, just not the physical ones, the mental ones, the spiritual ones. There's people making groups right now and creating and going and investing and buying gold and silver and land together as a group. This is an amazing time. Let's stop talking about all the problems and let's talk about solutions and who's going to be down with solutions. Brother Rich and I, when we talk, we're talking about some solutions. When you start talking to people and the conversation is all downhill and it's all about the pain and the misery of the world and what the reptilians got going on, who's the reptile and who's not, who's the ant people. And you know what I'm saying? We don't realize that those beings that you say that are disagreeable and evil, like you talking about them. You're the one selling it. You're the commercial.
So you the commercial.
You are their commercial and they love it. So elevationtime.com is the website. We've got a lot of different things up there. I want to thank all of you who have gone to the website, crashed the website. The website crashed 2.5 times. But there's a lot of folks who are ready for this next wave. And there's many people like Brother Rich and like myself and other people who are actually creating the new world by letting go of the old world. For people who are looking to really get that pineal happening, the Platinum Life Elixir, the product I made with Dick Gregory, helps to break, right? Excuse me. Helps to break the electrical connection between you and your disagreeable self. Let me get my tea.
You sent me that one? The one you made with Dick Gregory? You ain't sent me that one, man. How you do me like that, Dr.
I think I did, bro. Look in the box. You don't see the platinum? Go get the box.
Hold on, y'all. Let me get this box before we get out of here. I want to show y'all something. Give me a second.
Go get that box. I'm going to keep talking about it. But the Platinum Life helps to pull heavy metals out of your body. It helps to polish the pineal. But what it really does that's amazing is it helps to repair your telomeres. Your telomeres are the antennas and the caps at the end of your genes, at the end of your chromosomes. When that cap begins to wear off and those little strings called telomeres, which are antennas, when they shorten, your life shortens. Your body doesn't heal as fast because it's getting the message that you don't care and you're disrespectful to yourself and everything. And it says, we're ready to get up out of here. So it shortens what? Your lifespan. You got to have a different life expectancy. So when people take the platinum, which I have seen here, I'm going to take a little bit. When you have a different life expectancy, woo! Yeah, see, something starts happening. The fire comes online. You understand what I'm saying? Whoo! We might not be able to hang up now, Brother Rich. Platinum has gold, iridium, palladium, right? And iridium is your time clock. That's what the issue in Haiti or Haiti. What do you think? Why do you think they're doing this to those people down there in Haiti? It's because they got the biggest iridium mines, which is the time clock. It's an element that keeps time. Iridium. And when you take iridium, it repairs your time clock. Gold, platinum, iridium, palladium, these very rare elements in a monoatomic state, they connect your consciousness to the original consciousness, and it fires up the pineal. That's the platinum. It also helps you grow young instead of growing old. You see? The mushroom tonic. We were talking about mushrooms. Where is it? I think I forgot to bring it in here. But the mushroom,
the master mushroom tonic. I got that.
Man, that master mushroom tonic. You want to connect to the mycelium network. And see, a lot of people have mushroom products, but the mycelium are very fragile. You can't just boil them in some water and expect to get all the ingredients. Some of them they can only be boiled to or cooked to a certain level. Some of them you have to do a water extract. Some of them you have to use a certain type of alcohol. You may have to use alcohol made from coconuts or something. There's different types of alcohol. Then you may have to also preserve it in triatomic alcohol. These mushrooms that we're using are very rare mushrooms. Some of them you recognize, some you don't, but they're infused with these 5 plants. Those plants grow where those mushrooms are. They have a symbiotic relationship. So that mushroom tonic looks at your DNA and it knows how to differentiate between your DNA and foreign DNA. That's the mushroom tonic.
You ain't send me the platinum, man. I can't believe you did me like that, brother.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to send you a platinum. I'm gonna send you 2 bottles.
Yeah, please do.
2 bottles. I got another platinum that
I got. Let me just show the people. I got I don't know if y'all can see it, but I got a whole the whole body paracleanse
total
program.
Elevated. You got the elevated total body paracleanse program. 28 days.
Some liver powder. So what this liver powder? What's this for again? This is like
that helps to rejuvenate your liver, your kidneys, and your spleen, which are basically one organ. They're not separate.
They're not separate.
And if you don't, detoxify them and rejuvenate them with certain elements, then you can't detoxify the body. You see, the liver, that's the liver. Without that, you don't live. You see, that is the liver has thousands of functions in the body. It's almost like a heart. It's your second heart.
The liver, huh?
The liver. And the liver, the kidneys, and the spleen are all connected in one network, which, Western world divided them, but they're really one network. And actually, the pancreas is in that network also.
Dr. B, fellas, Dr. B sent me some Rise and Shine. He trying to get me to have some more babies out here, y'all.
Man, you better be careful.
Rise and Shine, fellas.
I tried to tell you, be careful with that one. Now, that one is for the flagpole. See, that one you will be rising and shining. Even the next day, you will rise and shine. Now, a lot of us are having flagpole issues, man, because of the stress that's going on in the world. And the body's like, look, but we ain't got no time to be trying to do all that. And if we do, we're just going to do it half-assed because so for men, that one really helps you.
You sent me something called Timeless Man. This is another section. What's this one here?
Okay. Timeless Man is working on the male hormones. It's working on testosterone.
Okay.
And it is also working on just rejuvenating the male system.
Right.
The rise and shine is for instant action.
Okay.
That one is the one that says we got to be busy and ready in 15 minutes. That's tooth powder right there.
Yeah, this is tooth powder. Yeah.
The tooth powder is once you're getting rid of parasites throughout your system, you have to make sure that you also get rid of them in your mouth, because that's where they go. See, they go to where the like if you're working on certain areas of the body, they travel. There's parasites in your mouth, and when you're detoxing, you can taste them. And even when people wake up in the morning, you have bad breath. What do you think that bad breath is? All these bacteria and things are in your mouth. So what that does is it helps to get rid of the parasites in your mouth. You have to detoxify every part of the body and rejuvenate every part of the body at one time in sync. So most parasite cleansers are just dealing with the colon, man, and the digestive tract. What they call the systemic parasites, that's what my specialty is. They live in the liver, they live in the kidneys, in the spleen, in the brain. The toxoplasma is in the brain. And you got Helicobacter pylori that's traveling. It's like a nomad. That one right there is like, that's a whole subject, just Helicobacter pylori, the space bug. Toxoplasma, the space bug. Agaricus is the one that most people who are hooked on sugar have. Agaricus. It also is the same one that most people hooked on cocaine have. Certain things that you're hooked on, there's certain parasites that are looking for that. Now, interesting enough, if your body was in balance, the mycelium would take care of that. But because your system is so far out of balance, the parasites start running the show. And the mycelium is like, well, that's what you want, because you keep eating toxins, hanging out with toxic people, laying down with toxic people, being in toxic arguments, toxic environments. So you must like toxicity. And the mycelium are in no way going to try to run the show. You're the captain. You're telling them, this is what I want. I want more drama. You're mad. You sitting up mad with the politics and what's going on the news. At 6 o'clock, the news is hanging you. It says he wants more of that. Let him have it. Let her have it. It's not controlling you. That is you, because it's a co-creation. So a lot of people say, well, if I take mushrooms, I won't have parasites. I didn't say that. The mushrooms are a whole different thing. By taking the master mushroom tonic or something like that, those mushrooms, like the chaga mushrooms, there's different ones that have, different, levels of detoxification and balance. Those things, because of the level of energy, what they call the beta glucans, which are special sugars, they begin to fortify different systems of the body different ways. And there's many, many, many different types of mushrooms that do different things different ways. You see? So the parasites are different. We don't know of too many mushrooms that'll fight the parasites. Not of themselves. In fact, the difference between our total body program and our elevated total body program is that the total body program is dealing with your average systemic parasites. The elevated, which is the one you have, is dealing with the super bugs. A lot of those bugs were made through bio weapons and warfare, chemical warfare, things like that. Some of them came from other realms at certain times. They're the super bugs. So that program is dealing with that level, and it has the mushroom tonic in it.
Dr. B, I'm curious. I want your opinion on something. I was in Whole Foods and I picked this up. Let me stretch my screen out. I want to know what's your opinion. You think this is a waste of time? I was in Whole Food and prebiotic fiber.
Okay, it might be. I need to know what's in it.
Okay. Do you want me to read the ingredients?
Yes.
Organic acacia fiber.
Good.
Organic orange peel.
Good.
Organic baobab.
Good.
Organic apple peel.
Whew.
And organic cranberry seed.
It's powerful.
Powerful? Okay. All right.
That's good. And see, the prebiotics, right, are different than probiotics.
Yeah.
Prebiotics are the food that probiotics eat.
Right.
The certain sugars that the probiotics need to eat. They need food. So like the plantain banana, right? The plantain banana has a sugar that your body can't break down. Even though it tastes sweet, that's why they eat it in the Caribbean. They're very intelligent. A lot of these cultures, that prebiotic or that sugar feeds the probiotic. The
Mm.
same thing with like yams. Yams have a sugar that feeds the probiotics. Coconut, you know, the coconut, the meat of coconut,
Mhm.
there's a sugar in there that your body can't break down too well. It becomes the bedding, it becomes the nest, it becomes the food for the probiotic. So just taking probiotics isn't enough. You have to have prebiotics. And certain foods are prebiotics or what they call fiber. Now, most people know of fiber, they use wheat fiber. They hear about how bread's got wheat fiber.
Mhm.
Nothing from the wheat plant is healthy. Nothing. Wheat bran, even wheatgrass.
Yeah, Dr. Sabi used to, yeah.
Man, I was in the store the other day. The lady said, "Hi, would you like some wheatgrass? It's very healthy." I said, "No, thank you. It's very, you should try." I said, "Lady, no, thank you." And then she started breaking this down, trying to get deep. I said, "Lady, let me tell you something. That stuff right there is so hybrid and so crossbred and so acid. This is why when you drink it and you drink too much, you get sick."
Mm.
Do you have have any barley grass? Why I never heard of barley grass? Barley grass is the one that if you're melanated, that gives you the energy. Wheatgrass does help if you are Caucasian.
Interesting.
The melanin factor is deep. See, I deal with melanin first. If you understand the melanocytes and the mycobacteria in the mycelium network work together perfectly.
See, this is why it's so dangerous to say we're all the same. Because
We're not.
Yeah. It's a very
We're
dangerous
hybrids.
concept.
All it's about, we're black and we're Africans. Let me tell you something. The stuff been mixed and co-mixed. Even the Africans ain't Africans. Where they get that name? There's people living on that. You know how big that continent is? They never met each other. They don't look the same. Every color, every hue. Languages that are so far apart. So what do you mean? This lady said she does African dance. I said, well, what kind of, African dance? I said, well, how many dances is that? She said, well, she named 3 dances. I said, well, that ain't African dance. How many people are there in what you call in Africa? You're doing a whole lot of dancing, lady. Well, you know what I mean. No, I don't know what you mean. Because language is very important. We have to be, exact. No, I don't take wheatgrass. And if you're taking it, it's working for you, great. But wheatgrass, anything from wheat, your body has to go to war to try to pull something out of it. Now, barley grass, there's very few people that have the barley grass. It's amazing because it just slips right into your cells. You see, spirulina is another one. It goes right into your cells. You see?
What about chlorella?
Chlorella goes right into your cells. And chlorella is like a detoxifier, but it's very mild. It's looking for radioactive waste. Chlorella is looking for radioactive waste. Did you know that? What was that where they had where they just have the nuclear thing over in Japan? What was it? What was the place called?
Well, Fukushima.
Fukushima.
Yeah.
Do you know that the radiation in Fukushima disappeared? Remember, it was leaking and was all in the ocean.
Right.
They said it was going to hit the whole world. It stopped suddenly.
Yeah.
They went inside. The Geiger counters aren't going tick 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 tick, and there was black mold and mushrooms growing all throughout it. There are mushrooms. There is mycobacterium. Well, and that's a combination that eat radiation. They using now oyster mushrooms in toxic waste dumps to convert the soil back to balance. Oyster mushrooms. That's why you got to be careful where you get your oyster mushrooms. Because some of them, they use them in a toxic waste dump. You know what I'm saying? They got, they're converting toxins. But if you can get you some good organic oyster mushrooms, they do that in your body. They look for toxic things.
Mm-hmm.
And you get those fried oyster mushrooms, man. You can make them taste like chicken in case you're looking to have that flavor. Make sure you're using, avocado oil or, pure olive oil. And your olive oil has to be in a glass green container. Get that expensive one. That's like $30 for half a pint. I'm exaggerating, but and that one, that green, because when light hits olive oil, it turns it rancid. It rots it right away. Light.
You say that again. When what?
When light hits the olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
Even the fluorescent lights.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fluorescent light that's in your grocery store is poisoning the food in your grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
It's pulsing 60 times every second. It's a pulse, and it's a plasma inside. Do you know, in the beginning, they would never use fluorescent lights in a school?
Yeah.
Why do they use fluorescent lights in the school? Because that flickering, sending a pulse wave at 60 times, 60 hertz, 60 pulses a second, dumbs you down. It takes you into a state where you become a drone. It's all about memory. It's not about anything where it's creative. It's not about intuition. They made that choice in America. They also made the choice to make grades and tests, which shuts down your creativity and your uniqueness. Because you got to get a golden star, and you got to get an A. And what's wrong with you, Johnny? You got a D, and you got this. I remember I got that F in algebra. I was so happy when I went home. My father was like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? I said, well, they kicked me out the class. I failed. I was happy. He was pissed. He said, why are you happy? I said, because I ain't got to go back. I don't need to know nothing about no unknown numbers. I got enough issues with the numbers I know. Unknown number. If I got $100,000 of cash in here, I got that. I don't need to know what I don't have. You spending all this time and energy in columns and destruction and math and division and all this to get to the unknown number. If I was going to be a rocket scientist and work for the Jet Propulsion Lab or NASA or biochemist, yes. But for what I was doing in my life, that was not good for me. So I had to fail it. That's what I'm saying. You got to have this whole thing. You got to get rid of this thing of don't give up. Some things you have to give up. But the flickering lights, you know, you got to get even the lights they gave to everybody recently. They said they were energy saving lights. Those fluorescent lights, they got that weird color. It's bluish.
Yeah.
Man, why would you give the people them? They gave them to everybody years ago. You remember?
Yeah.
They came to door. They ain't never gave you nothing free. When they start giving everybody something free,
she gave me a headache. I used them one time, man. Them things is dangerous, man.
Bro, what that is doing, that's you talking about programming, but at least get the LEDs, and they even have the full spectrum LEDs. They even have full spectrum glasses. Like these glasses that I'm wearing are full spectrum glasses. That's why they look this way. First of all, they're blocking the blue light from the computer. You can see it reflecting back. Gets on some people's nerves, right? But also they're letting in all the light. I only have one pair because somebody from Japan gave. They have them in Japan, full spectrum lights to let all the light in, because your eyes are supposed to be picking up all the spectrum of light in your environment, which shoots through your pupil, which is the student, hits the back of your eye, which is your brain. Your eyes are the only exposed part of your brain. That is your brain. That's brain tissue. It goes straight to the pineal gland, and it goes straight into what they call the visual cortex, so that you can expand and open up. But when you wear glasses, if they're not full spectrum, they're broken. They're breaking off the natural frequencies that you need to be the most you could be. You see, so one, if you're using a computer and you're using glasses, then at least get the ones that block the blue light. Then if you can find a full spectrum glass or glasses, that would be great. And also get, like in here, I have full spectrum, lights throughout my house, in my houses or wherever I'm at, in the lab, we have full spectrum lights, and they were used to using the LEDs, because the LEDs are light emitting diodes, and they're not putting out heat, and they're not burning electricity the way certain things are. Diodes, right, are converting electricity from one state to another. So if you have a diode in an electrical circuit, if the circuit is positive, you put it through a diode, it becomes negative, or vice versa. Or if you want to take something from direct current, which is DC, and you want to change it into AC or alternating current, which is what we have in our walls, right? Then you've got to use a group of diodes, and you've got to use step up and step down transformers. Now, all this is based on your body. Certain parts of your body, certain cells, are diodes. They're converting things from one form to another. They're doing the alchemy. They work with the mycelium that is your tissue to create the outcome that you're moving towards. Diodes, which are crystals, like a lot of people have crystals. You know what I'm saying? Your phone is full of crystals. And, this guy told me, he said, well, crystals really don't work. And he got on his phone. I said, well, wait, somebody called you? He said, yeah. I said, what were you using? I said, that's all crystals.
Mhm.
The whole phone is made of crystals. All your electronics is crystals. So don't tell me they don't work. But a lot of people, we want to have a crystal and hold a crystal. And that's good because they do have an effect on us, especially if you have certain crystals. And some of them you just have just because they're beautiful and they still have a certain energy. But guess what? Your body is crystalline too. So what Dick Gregory was saying, Dick Gregory said, B, let's come up with something that we could take that energizes the natural crystalline state of our body. It energizes the melanocytes. It energizes the black gold within us. And that's when we came up with this Platinum Life. And I apologize, brother, we didn't put it. My shipping person didn't put it in the package. So I will send you one, brother. I'll send you a special one. In fact, we have two. We have the regular platinum, which is helping to crystallize your outcome in life. And there's a new one which has CBD in it. It's not CBD oil, because most people can't even absorb the oil CBD. It's a whole trick. You can't even absorb it because of what kind of oil it is. Where do they get it? They're usually using rancid oil. It's olive oil that's been sitting out in big containers, 50-gallon drums, and they put a little bit of CBD. And a lot of the CBD today is not natural. A lot of your cannabis plants are not natural. They've been hybridized and crossbred, and they're trying to bring up the amount of CBD. Something that might have like 19% CBD. They got plants with 30% CBD. You got plants with so much THC that it is a drug, and it kills the soil. It actually is killing the soil, and they keep worrying about. When you go to the places where they're growing, they're always worried about fungus. It's the biggest thing they're worried about. They said, well, there's this mold. This mold, man, we got to spray the plants because this mold. I said, well, that mold is a fungus, a mycelium that's attempting to kill the plant because the plant is not natural, and that plant is changing the vibrational rate of everything. It's a killer. They were like, no, B, no. What we do is we spray such and such. I said, listen to me. The mold is growing on your weed because it is unnatural to this environment. It is a killer. It's a murderer. It is necrotizing the tissues. There's certain things that necrotize or tear tissue, like the parasite called Necator americanus. It necrotizes tissue. That's also known as the flesh-eating bacteria that a lot of people have. Do you know about the flesh-eating bacteria, bro?
No, talk to me about it. What's going on with it? I've heard some things, but I need to hear what your take on it.
The flesh-eating bacteria, most people who've eaten meat, even if you stopped a long time ago, is still dormant in your cells.
Mm-hmm.
When you go through certain levels of trauma,
mm-hmm.
it comes online. And it pops up in the morning as a little pimple, itching. By afternoon, your whole arm has turned black and it's dead.
God
If
damn,
you don't, if they don't cut your arm off, when you get to the hospital, they're going to pull out an axe before they can even numb you up. They got to cut your arm off, and it is jumping. You can see it. Please look this up, y'all. Necator americanus, or the flesh-eating bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
It will eat a person all the way down to the bone in 12 hours. The first person to get it was a black police officer in the 70s in Philadelphia. When he got to the hospital, half his body was bones and the other half was flesh, still alive. They couldn't even do anything. They didn't even know what it was. That's when they located it and realized this is a special necrotizing, which means flesh tearing and eating bacteria. It's called Necator americanus. Notice it's americanus. It's because the way they process food in America is so deplorable, especially red meat and, fish, not fish, but, chickens and turkeys and goats. Necator americanus. Please, you got to look this up, man. Look it up now. It eats people to the bone. There was a lady that got it, and it was in her hand. They were watching her hand just turn black and tissue is falling off. She got to the hospital, and this was a client that I knew, not the lady, but her sister was a client. She says when they saw what it was, they held the lady down, pulled out a meat cleaver, and cut her arm off. I'm like, what? They didn't number. They said it can't because it's moving too fast. It's moving in stealth, and it's jumping. You can see it just tearing the flesh, moving fast. And the quicker you attempt to get rid of it, it moves faster. It's very conscious. Necator americanus, the flesh-eating bacteria. It's a superbug parasite. A lot of people have it. They just don't know it. And they keep it quiet. This is like one of those things, man. They're not going to have this on the news. To tell you that if you eat a piece of beef or some of that, stuff that they got sitting out there that's dead in the back of the grocery store, that it's probably got Necator americanus, and a lot of the cows and chickens and pigs they just come to the farm and it's just bones. I don't know how I got into that, but anyway.
Shit, yeah, that was a tough one to listen to, man. God
man,
damn.
I'm telling you the truth. You need to go do your own research. Don't believe Dr. B, because I'm saying I only went to college for 2.5 weeks. But
hey, Doc, we about to get out of here, but before I do, I just want to I'm gonna take probably about 2 questions from the people. They've been asking questions. I'm sorry I can't get to your questions today. Y'all seen we've been on for 2 hours already. We're about to get out of here. I'm gonna just start from the bottom here, and Doc will be back soon. This is the 3rd week. We're gonna do something special soon. I already got an idea in my head. So something special is coming soon, but we about to get out of here. Let's take a couple of questions. Let's get to this last super chat question. Can Doc talk about the lambda phage bacteria?
I don't know about that particular bacteria. I don't know about that one right there. There's a lot of them I have not studied. It's so many types, but because it's a phage, right? A phage is something. There's 2 types. They have a existence in 2 different places. Like, what's the parasite? There's another parasite, a superbug called. I can't grab the name of it, but it's constantly changing as you look at it. It's going through phases. When you talk about phases and phages and things like that, it has to do with the way it lives. I don't know about that one right there. I'm going to have to look it up. I'm learning every day, so thank you for that.
Indeed.
So,
somebody kept asking, what's the benefit of looking at the sun? That's a simple one.
Looking at it at the wrong time, it'll make you blind. If you find yourself sun gazing and you know how to do it, and your naked feet are on the ground, that light is going through your eyes into your pineal, straight down your vagus nerve or your central nervous system to your solar plexus. So it's heating up your triple burner or your solar plexus and bringing the light directly in you. A lot of folks have altered states of consciousness because they're sun gazing. I don't sun gaze. You know why? I stargaze. Stargaze trumps sun gazing for me, because I am now bringing in the information from all the stars. I'm in pure consideration mode. A lot of our true original spiritual practices were done at night because the sun is so strong. Now, if you are getting benefit from your sun gazing, then do it. But also try stargazing and bringing in the information. If you can even be out sometime and lay on the ground naked, especially if you're cleansing, you're doing like, one of the cleanse programs, whoever's, or you're detoxifying, or you've got a lot of chlorophyll, your spirulina, you're eating green plants, you've got a lot of, you're taking in a lot of, minerals, then these light sources are illuminating the minerals. Like magnesium. Magnesium is a feminine liquid or feminine mineral that controls hormones. The amount of magnesium you have has a lot to do with how your hormones communicate with each other, because hormones are chemical messengers. So using these types of gazing, whether it's sun gazing or stargazing, it does a conversion to the parts of your body that are minerals or parts of your body that are emitting or creating biophotons. And there's biophotons coming from the plasma from the sun or from the stars that your body can use for more life force. If you find your sun gazing and it's taking energy from you, you feel tired, you don't feel like you're having any type of a, ascended type vibration, you're just doing it because the group says to do it, then I wouldn't do it. And that's what happened to me. When I used to sun gaze, I was through for days. I'd go lay out. I didn't understand it. My teacher at the time said, "Why are you doing it?" I said, "Well, I'm part of this group." But he said, "Stop doing it. Get out of the group. Try stargazing." Stargazing is off the chain, especially when you find Sirius and other stars. And by the way, right now, the North Star, right, is no longer the North Star because the whole Earth has twisted and turned, and it's slanting a different way on its axis, which means everything is changed. So even the light that is coming from the sun is bending. Light travels in waves. It doesn't travel in straight lines, but it has to bend through the atmosphere. So the sun we're looking at now, and I'm gonna say this, and the sun we're looking at now is not the same sun. That's a different sun. Some of y'all know this too. The sun changed or was changed since the year 2012. That's a different sun. The sun actually changes. It gives birth to a different thing. Now, some people say some beings are changing the sun. That may be. I'm telling you that sun that's out there right now is not the same sun, which means you're not the same person. But saying that to say if it's working for you, do it. But some of the things that we have done in the past don't work anymore. I would ask you to go outside and, stargaze. Try it. Take your shoes and socks off. If you could go get naked, go lay on the ground. Make sure you got enough chlorophyll, green plants, and drink some pure water. Real spring water that's actually been, going over rocks and crystals and bubbling, and it's not in plastic. And try that. I think what you're going to do is get a download that you never got, especially right now when we're in this cosmic wave that they call the Lion's Gate. Got another question?
Now leave your contact information before we get out of here, brother.
All right. My the website is elevationtime.com, elevationtime.com. And it's Doctah, Doctah, Doctah B, Sirius, Sirius, on Facebook and also on IG. That's how you can contact me. This Saturday, we're doing part 3 of our class, which is a serious opportunity. And we'll be giving you some of the tools that you can use right now to take on the opportunity of this new world, which is birthing itself right now in each of us. You see, that'll be this Saturday at 11 a.m. till about 3, Eastern Standard Time. Last week we had it's like the class was full. It was amazing. And a lot came through. And, people are using that. Folks are calling me and they just say, "Man, I just tried one of those techniques, Dr. B, and it's changed everything." You don't have to change, a big change, sometimes a small change. You see, if I was giving you a map from Atlanta to Brooklyn, and I said, "This is the map," but I change it 1 degree. If I change that map 1 degree, you're not going to end up in Brooklyn. You might end up in Philly. You might end up in Ohio, because a small change, a 1 degree change over time becomes a huge change.
Right.
So if you shift one thing, and this is what we're attempting to teach in these classes, small things and increments that can help you move towards your goal and setting a goal and holding on to it. So I would like to thank everybody for being here at this time. I would like to thank you all for being a part of this shift. And those of us who are looking to vibrate at that vibration of 500 and affect 750,000, thank you for that. Let's come together. Let's work together. Let's throw away our differences, you see, and be in oneness, at least for 1 minute, if only for one night. I want to thank you, Brother Rich, for an amazing time. I mean, this energizes me. I like this. If you'd like to do it again, just let me know. I'm here. If you have questions, you know how to find me on the internet. And yes, get on the email list and cleanse your body systemically. Never mind the little baby bugs. Let's go for the super bugs and be crystal clear. Love yourself. It's elevation time. And look, man, half that baggage is not yours. Why are you carrying it? Didn't they ask you at the airport if that baggage is yours? Did somebody give you some baggage to carry? Huh? And you got it and you're carrying it, struggling with it? That's not your baggage. It might be your parents' baggage, your family's baggage, the group, your political belief system, your religion. That's their baggage. Let the dead bury their dead. Let the Mycelium network rejuvenate you. It's ready and waiting for you to give the orders. You're the captain. You're the capstone. You are the captain, the CEO. So thank you very much. It's beautiful to be here, and be phenomenal. Do something different. Love yourself. And I'll see you again soon. Travel light. That's all there is light.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, family, for tuning in. We'll see you next time. I got something special I'm gonna do with the brother real soon. I'm gonna call you Dr. B tomorrow and talk to you about it. But family, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you visit the brother's website, elevationtime.com. And on that note, I'll probably see you tomorrow, family. All right? Getting out of here. Peace.